Should you start with weights or calisthenics? If you're asking yourself that, then watch this. A lot of people are worried that they're not strong enough or they're too overweight to start calisthenics. I get it, their arguments make sense. Before I began calisthenics, when I was just using weights, I could barely do 2 pull-ups, and now I can do muscle-ups, levers, and heavy weighted pull-ups. I successfully made that transition, and in this video I'm going to share with you 4 key points and the final verdict for when I think the best time for you to start calisthenics is. Firstly, let's answer the question of not being strong enough for calisthenics. I think of calisthenics and weight training as different vehicles to get to the same destination. You want to be stronger or have bigger muscles, you can achieve that through either weight training or calisthenics. What I'm trying to say is that just like how you start with light weights and then progressively get to heavier weights, with calisthenics you can start with easier alternatives to eventually get to the harder stuff. So when people say I'm not strong enough for calisthenics, I just want you to think about whether you'd say that you're not strong enough for weights, because I don't think you would. I think you'd say you're not strong enough, so you choose the lightest weights you can find or train with an empty barbell. So calisthenics doesn't have to go completely out the window. You can find an easy alternative to do with your body weight and progressively get to the more difficult things. By the way, I'm not against using weights. I personally use weights a bit alongside my calisthenics training. All I'm doing in this video is offering a different perspective to certain things. Next, the question of being overweight. Straight to the point with this. Unless you're severely obese, this is not a reason to avoid calisthenics. For severely obese people, I would definitely stick with weights or do very light calisthenics training, because all that weight and impact isn't going to be good news for your joints. But for the vast majority of people who want to do calisthenics but say that they're too heavy, their weight isn't the issue, it's psychological. Maybe they don't believe they can handle their weight, so they don't even give it a good attempt, or they'd be embarrassed to jump on the pull-up bar when they look overweight. This is nothing but a self-limiting belief though, and you're gonna have to do the inner work and build the courage to do what you actually want to do. I've seen people who weigh over 100 kilograms doing muscle-ups. There's no reason you can't start training with pull-ups or even easier alternatives. My philosophy when it comes onto calisthenics and weight is this. The reason other people can do things is not because they weigh less, it's because they're strong enough to handle their weight. I don't care how much I weigh, I just have to be strong enough to handle my body weight. So I don't complain about my weight and let it hold me back. I just strive to be strong enough to handle it. The third point I want to speak about is what I think the main problem is for a lot of people wondering when to begin calisthenics, and it's the fear of embarrassment. It may be the fear of failure holding you back, and it being in public, especially the gym environment, just makes it even worse. Whether your excuse is your weight or strength or just lack of practice and understanding of moves, it all boils down to being afraid to try and fail and look silly in front of others, or even just silly in front of yourself. But just know that I embarrass myself in the gym all the time when I'm learning new moves. The next thing I want to point out is that it doesn't have to be either or. Calisthenics and weights interchange. Some people do push-ups, which is calisthenics, instead of bench press, the weights, because push-ups are the easier alternative. Some people do lat pull downs, which are weights, instead of pull-ups, calisthenics, because lat pull downs are the easier alternative. So a lot of people already do both. But your question is probably, when you go to the gym right now, should you be doing mainly weights or calisthenics? But just remember that you can do both as freely as you please. So the final verdict, what I recommend is that firstly, you close your eyes and imagine your life in 6 months. Will you be doing muscle ups and other calisthenics moves, or will you be pumping weights? If you truly want to begin calisthenics, then I recommend that you make it your main form of training right now. If pull-ups are too difficult, start with Australian pull-ups. If push-ups are too difficult, start with knee push-ups. I want you to always remember that there is an easier bodyweight alternative for you to do right now. Yes, use some weights to support you, but don't completely run away from calisthenics, quote unquote, just for the time being. If the exercise you're trying to do is too difficult, instead of instantly jumping to the conclusion to just jump on weights or shed a few pounds first, I want you to research and try easier bodyweight alternatives that you can use to build up to that move. And this way you can start developing some momentum and consistency in calisthenics, which is what you want to do. If this video helped with your decision on when you should begin calisthenics, hit subscribe because I post every week to help you build strength, stay consistent, and actually achieve your goals.